What is the reality, and what does that have to do with Meghan Markle?
And he persuaded them, saying, I am the victim of a sexual assault, and I can tell you Put
Oprah out of your mind, the actual reason the royals dread. Meghan has nothing to do with interviews and everything to do with the circles she frequented in before she became a Ducey.
Nickname is gonna shock you.
Because I'm from the States, you don't grow up with the same
people. Felt Ghislaine Maxwell had nothing left to say. Most people thought she would sit quietly and let the world forget her after spending so much time in that cramped, chilly prison cell. Then, however, she opened her mouth, lay back on that metal cot, and revealed a name that no one had anticipated. Not a politician, not a royal, not another billionaire from Epstein's former social circle. Meghan Markle. She sit
towards Harry and Meghan, because Harry and Meghan are so important that, of course,
anticipated explosions, names, timelines, nasty details, and the whole scandal buffet when Maxwell's private talks were released. However, the Globe received a pile of documents that appeared to have been targeted by a blackout marker on caffeine rather than lucidity. Entire hours evaporated, thick black bars replaced paragraphs. The leading questions remained unaltered while the answers were completely erased, making fun of anyone who attempted to piece them together. It didn't appear like protection. It looked like terror.
Is guilty, when you're a defense attorney, but this one is a gift from above. She's got
argued the redactions were routine privacy safeguards, but the reason didn't match. Maxwell no longer has any privacy. Epstein doesn't for sure. Most victims had already shared their stories publicly, so why were these particular passages deleted so violently? Why did 12 hours of testimony vanish, as if they had never happened?
Really rankled was the Sussex's rejection of our most revered institution.
The redactions weren't arbitrary. It turned they were precise, surgical. Even someone wasn't disguising what happened, they were concealing their
his juror questionnaire that he had been the victim of a sexual assault. And
sitting there in the heart of those missing pieces was a name that has never been associated with this world publicly. Meghan Markle, not referenced once by accident, but frequently, and always in the portions that vanished.
And a happier Harry, who I suspect still covets the half in and half out.
Weren't throwaway references, they were situational, contextual, and detailed, the kind of references that indicate someone wasn't close to the narrative. They were in the rooms where it took place, private parties, invitation-only yacht events, and dinners where reputations were valued and phones were prohibited. A world the palace would desire, erased from existential
current Cold War status. Dunlop continues, the Prince of Wales would be
made the decision that the public wasn't prepared for. Meghan's pre-Duchess persona. One thing is clear from the way those pages were destroyed: her past wasn't merely difficult, it was perilous to reveal.
About the memories of the Maxwell accusers. They were saying
didn't always go around those circles under her true name. According to Maxwell, she was referred to by one straightforward term, flower, in some private settings that were far from Hollywood celebrity or anything that resembled the sanitized public world.
Public sympathy, but moods can change. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a threat to me.
And this wasn't a lighthearted nickname, it wasn't a stage name. It was a code name used in rooms where anonymity was mandatory, rather than optional, a place where your identity was determined by who brought you in, who endorsed you, and why you were there, rather than by your Instagram handle or headshot. Maxwell said flower was utilized more than once, repeated, recognized, the kind of name people don't forget because it crops up repeatedly. At particular private parties, code names weren't handed out casually. You got one if you weren't.
Headlines, it will be history that judges William, his more powerful older brother.
Weren't Hollywood after parties. These were international boat events, private dinners thrown by financiers, gatherings where everyone arrived with a handler and left with secrets.
Questionnaires one by one, and specifically assured defense counsel that had concerns.
Flower had her own profile, a real private resume somewhere in that realm. For gatekeepers, not for casting directors, instead of cameras, a dossier was utilized to introduce her to influential people. A guide outlining her identity, her services, and the reasons behind her circulation.
His reign has the requisite hallmarks of modern monarchy, compassion and magnanimity.
CV for a world. Meghan has never officially confessed being a part of a world where she learned how wealth operates silently. A world she later traversed far too comfortably for someone who was purportedly new to it. Meghan interacted with the Prince Andrew ecosystem long before she was made A duchess long before she made headlines throughout the world and long before she became a royal issue, she was present in the same carefully chosen settings he frequently visited, but not in a romantic or even social sense.
William would do it either, because how can you forgive somebody that hasn't asked for it? So now,
Thing people don't understand about Andrew's circles is that nothing was casual. These weren't arbitrary get-togethers. Billionaire hosts, political sharks, handlers, publicists, and influential people who understood just who to invite and why formed these gatherings. To wind up on those lists, you didn't need to be famous, you needed to be valuable, intriguing, connected, or strategically positioned. According to Maxwell, Meghan was just that.
Meghan Markle's CV included adult entertainment and entertaining guests.
Wasn't the star of the room. She wasn't attempting to be. She blended in, collected notes, observed the hierarchy, and watched how power passed from one handshake to the next. You learn things from that level of closeness that Hollywood could never impart.
Money on it right now, Dan, I would say this verdict is probably going to get thrown out.
Forget Meghan's greatest asset has always been her capacity to adapt. In those early days, her lack of popularity made her nearly invisible, an advantage in a world when everyone else was being observed
for that. So Jeffrey Epstein was invited to the royal box in 2000.
Suggested Meghan's presence wasn't random. Someone brought her in, someone planted her there, and one of those persons was Maxwell herself. Not everyone was shocked when Meghan returned. In the royal realm years later, some, such as those in Andrew's social circle, showed no signs of surprise. They acted like they'd seen her before, because there is always a character in stories like this who is quiet but extremely knowledgeable. Someone who is familiar with the players, the rooms, the connections, and the unwritten affiliations. In this one, the person is Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York.
Incredible, because Jeffrey Epstein was in 2000 invited.
People believe Meghan met Fergie pleasantly right before the wedding. I learned how to curtsy from that perfect moment. Cute story, very royal, very contrived, but individuals inside elite circles claim the two had met paths much earlier, back when Meghan began turning up in the same exclusive locations. Maxwell and Epstein's networks interacted with. Sarah was no stranger to these circles. She had no trouble passing through them. Part fundraiser, part social diplomat, part survivor of her own controversies. She knew the unwritten norms, the whispered cautions, and the power dynamics behind the Senate.
And there's even said that the Queen unknowingly danced with Jeffrey Epstein. But going back to
There were even murmurs that Fergie and Maxwell had their own covert competition, not personal, strategic. Two ladies maneuvering within the same rich circle, both striving to maintain influence over distinct factions. Therefore, Sarah wasn't shocked when Meghan reappeared years later, this time attached to Harry. Fergie was aware of the exact types of rooms Meghan had previously been in, and the names associated with her, so she responded cautiously.
I want to put it kindly and nicely, has been around the block so many times. She is already
royal family. Has many things. Heritage, fortune, scandal. However, pattern recognition is what they are most afraid of, and Sarah, more than anyone, recognized the pattern because she'd seen it before. If Maxwell's world was the sinister undercurrent no one dared to admit, then Soho House was the shiny, enticing veneer everyone thought was innocuous. A private haven for members only, where introductions were more valuable than diamonds and secrets wore stylish sunglasses, and standing behind many of those glittering rooms was Ron Burkle, the billionaire who appeared to know everyone who mattered and everyone who pretended not.
Forget that Virginia Roberts called her as a witness because she
wasn't only affluent, he was connected in a way that made Hollywood insiders nervous. He was surrounded by media titans, politicians, royals, and financiers, and discreetly tied into that same web. Ghislaine Maxwell, who moved through those networks long before prison transformed her name into poison. That leads us to April of 2015.
For Meghan Markle, almost like Fergie, to come back. But Ghislaine revelations put Meghan in a very, very bad light, because if it is all true, Meghan Markle is
for the first time. Soho House, Istanbul opens. The guest list is spotless, a blend of elites, social strategists, emerging stars, and old money cloaked in new garments. Prince Harry appears, and Meghan, she's there too.
And after that meeting in Istanbul at the opening of the Soho House, she suddenly decided to become.
This wasn't a we bumped into each other by fate situation. Instantly, rumors began to circulate. Burkle allegedly planned the guest pairing, according to some. Others whispered that acquaintances who knew exactly what kind of rooms Meghan had previously navigated had put her in that circle. It was the same dark web that she had traversed as Flower.
He did not want to have her anywhere near her. We all know that Meghan Markle, oh, I didn't know who
Of story you believe the effect was the same. This night changed everything. Meghan's public persona improved like a PR miracle in less than a year. Abruptly global, abruptly humanitarian, abruptly promoted as something close to royalty. No one climbs that rapidly without someone powerful behind the curtain, and someone clearly knew who Meghan used to be and who she was destined to become. The majority of people believed that Meghan's past was protected by some unseen institution, that the palace intervened, that the press was suppressed, and that the redactions in Maxwell's leaked interviews were intended to shield Meghan. But when you take a hard look at what was taken out, that idea falls.
she was fully aware. Not only did she know who Harry was, she said after him.
Guys Meghan had previously stood in the same rooms with were being protected by these censors, not Meghan benefactors, royals, financiers, billionaires, the kinds of names that would immediately detonate if matched with any portion of Maxwell's story. Meghan was not the danger. Meghan was the liability, the witness, who had seen too much before she even considered marrying into the royal family. She witnessed the faces that many longed to have forgotten behind shut doors. She heard muttered talks.
We know that she couldn't get a job anywhere, and suddenly she's in the royal circles.
She experienced circumstances where no one anticipated the young girl named Flower to ever become worldwide relevant. After that, she wed a prince. She became untouchable, unpredictable, perhaps dangerous, since now she possessed something far more important than scandal: memory.
We know that Meghan Markle, sure, she went after Harry, but she had help getting there.
Maxwell's testimony vanished into black ink over the course of several hours. Meghan's existence threatens those who did something, not because she did anything. People love to blame Netflix, Oprah, spare the constant interviews, the drama of California. However, the true rift between William and Harry is more profound than headlines or cameras. It jumps right into the past. William refuses to let anywhere near the monarchy's future
Meghan. But I don't think they're covering up for Meghan as much as they're protecting who put Meghan there.
Limel's dislike of Meghan isn't rooted on personality, it's anchored in proximity. She was close to Andrew's former social groups. She attended events associated with the most repulsive period of contemporary royal history. Whether on purpose or not, she was aware of the individuals the palace has been attempting to bury for decades. For this reason, Balmoral became a metaphorical battlefield. William gave Andrew the most subtle yet deadly ultimatum when he attempted to attend just one religious service: either Andrew arrives or the heir does, but not both. Andrew took a step back.
Sudden rise or being able to infiltrate the royal family so quickly, to infiltrate.
William conveyed the word that the palace had been muttering for years behind closed doors with that gesture. The ghosts of the crown's past will not taint its future, and unfortunately for Meghan, her ties, however circumstantial, land her on the wrong side of that protective line. She holds too many memories of a world the monarchy wants destroyed, not because she is guilty.
Soho House and Ron Burkle. Because it all started.
The controversy that makes headlines starts long before the public finds out, long before the royal wedding, long before Netflix, long before titles, tears, or tiaras. The spark is said to have started on a yacht in Meghan's case. Not the glitzy sort influencers brag about, but the kind where the guest list is handwritten. The faces on board have the power to change the world stock market with a phone call, and the NDAs are silent but understood.
Of Soho House. And we know because they were both there. The Soho House.
Insiders. Meghan entered the dark circles connected to Maxwell's suppressed papers through this yacht. It was there she became Flower, there she crossed paths with people whose identities never reached the headlines because the papers know better. There she received her first look into how power truly works, quietly, invisibly, without hashtags or headlines. Just exposure, just access, no scandalous behavior. However, having access to the wrong planet at the wrong moment might change everything. Because that night launched her on a trajectory that would eventually lead to Soho House, then to Istanbul, then to Harry, a chain reaction that would finish with her entering into Buckingham Palace as a duchess. A path the palace would do anything to pretend never existed.
Do I have any doubt that Meghan Markle was a call girl? Of course not. I don't have any.
I have none. Now that Maxwell has started speaking the cautious, quiet, preserving these links is crumbling, the world has been compelled to reconsider everything that was previously written off as rumors because of her remarks, including the ones that were censored. It's not a storm, it's rumbling already into
connections of the people that put her there. There's no, by the way, she was.
Are becoming bolder. Sources are unexpectedly chatty. People who formerly dismissed old stories are now scrutinizing every detail with renewed mistrust. And it is no longer a matter of whether Meghan's history will return, it's about how much will survive the blackout, and who will be held accountable when it...
And the Q&A in Ukraine with the university saying that
did those 12 missing hours truly contain? Which names overlapped? What circumstances motivated Meghan to join those groups? And why do so many influential people fear that those details will be made public because there is no safety against quiet when a storm becomes this big? It's a confession. And this time no blackout marker in the world can keep the truth buried forever.